Brothers and sisters, welcome to IAP Chat Chew, an event IAP hosts monthly for the crowds to gather and discuss various topics related to investment account and financial technology and everything in between. So for starters, let's begin with our first talk on Islamic Fintech by our Tech Mufti, Brother Yusuf.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I guess we can just chat now and we have to pause to chew until the adhan, inshallah. Right? Anyway, my name is Yusuf Sultan. I'm heading the infrastructure and Sharia at IAP Ventures, and it's really amazing to see you at USIM. It's my first experience here coming to USIM. Hopefully it will be a good experience together for us, inshallah. Alright, the topic today, inshallah, I will be talking on, for very brief, is on Islamic Fintech. But before we begin, I would like to relate it with Ramadan. So in Ramadan is the month of Quran, and we are supposed to be putting more emphasis, putting more deep thoughts, tadabbur on Quran, right? So I would like to start with a verse from Surah Fussilat, verse number 33. Yeah, so it says, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, وَمَنْ أَحْسَنُ قَوْلًا مِمَّنْ دَعَا إِلَى اللَّهِ وَعَمِلَ صَالِحًا وَقَالَ إِنَّنِي مِنَ الْمُسْلِمِينَ. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, who is better than the one who calls others to the path of Allah and does the righteousness, or does the good deeds, and he says, indeed I am among the Muslims. So if we think about this verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that the quality of a best person is two. Three actually, but the inherent qualities are two. So the first one is we have to call others to the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The second one is we have to do ourselves, amila salihah, do good deeds. So it's not that we just call everyone to good, but we don't do ourselves. We have to do good ourselves as well. So we have to do good, we have to do well, and then we also have to spread that good and to the whole humanity. And then finally we declare ourselves, Innani minal Muslimin, I am among the Muslims. So this is the quality of the best person according to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So as we can see, as a Muslim, it is our inherent responsibility to not only do good for ourselves, but also to spread the good to the whole world. And that is why we are here. Today we are going to discuss about Islamic Fintech. And why Islamic Fintech? The first thing is to do good for the whole world, for the whole humanity. Just think about the time 10 years before or about 20 years before. We didn't have the speed of the internet that time, or we didn't have the technology reaching every country those days. And the mobiles were not at the fingertips of everyone. So it was difficult to think of such solutions which we can think of today. For example, IAP platform, or what I'm coming from, IAP Ventures, we are doing crowdfunding or fintech using the technology. So technology has made that easier for us to enable the solutions for the betterment of the humanity. I guess there is some technical glitch, is it? Alright, but we will continue. There is some technical glitch, inshallah, once the slides are there. So today I wanted to talk about Islamic Fintech. And Fintech basically means financial technologies, and when it comes to financial technologies, there are a few broad categories which we are targeting. So just think of replacing banks, for example, or other financial institutions. Those days we had bank, we had for example insurance companies, or all traditional financial institutions through which we would do a lot of financial activities, to deposit money, to invest, to, for example, transfer money from one area to another place, and make savings, all right, investments, and all those things. So now when we are talking about fintech, we are talking about replacing those things with the technologies that we own at our hand, in the fingertips. According to many researchers, many studies, the millennials, the younger generation that you are sitting now here, you use mobile phones more than anything else. You like everything at your fingertips, right? You don't want to waste time or go here and there to go to the groceries and order everything online. Maybe we can just go to the next slide. Yeah. So now we are trying to replace all those traditional financial activities using the technology at our fingertips. So you can see when we talk about fintech, we usually mean, in a broader sense, we usually mean this is space. There are payments. So previously we would pay using through bank. Now we will pay using the technology, using the QR code, using the fingerprint sensor, and all those advanced technologies. Crowdfunding. Last time we had societies, we had communities. In my country, I'm from Bangladesh, we had many offline societies. People would come together like cooperatives. They would raise funds for certain things, and then they would loan to each other or buy something or invest in some other investment vehicles. But now through the technology, we can reach the global investors. We can help many people around, regardless of the place, regardless of the locality, regardless of the country. Robo-advisor. So last time there would be financial advisors who would take all the risk profiles, the investment choices, and all those things, and then based on that he would suggest the investors the best investment portfolio for him. But now technology is capable to suggest equity portfolio, to suggest where you should invest, how much risk you should take, and all those things through technology, which we call robo-advisors. Then regulatory tech. So last time, everyone who needed to open a bank account, he used to go to a bank. He needed to fill the form, manual form, offline form, and all those things, and then a long form for the KYC, know your customer, and all those things. Now everything is replaced by technology. So just maybe a face detection technology, or maybe a fingerprint sensor, and then giving the ID card of the person. It would, in the back end, it would verify with the various databases it has. So it all just happens in a few seconds or maybe a couple of minutes. You don't need to queue up in the bank or wait for several days. Then mobile money. It's very relevant nowadays, especially for countries where technology is not, the smartphones are not yet so much reaching around the different parts of the world. We see in Kenya, for example, M-Pesa. In Bangladesh, we see Bcash. So what happens, people from the very, very remote area from the village, if you have a very old Nokia phone or whatever phone, I mean, it's not smart, it does not have the videos or whatever, but it can send and receive SMS, that's enough. You can do the banking through it, you can transfer money through it, you can receive the money through it. So this is happening to the mobile money. Nowadays, we have the QR payment. We see the Touch and Go has come up with wallet, and many other service providers. Grab also come up with the wallet, right? So nowadays, everyone is coming with wallet. Trading and learning, machine learning, we see Lazada, for example, in Malaysia, and then many other platforms, which enables us to trade, to purchase things through online platforms. Crowdfunding or peer-to-peer, we will have a session on this, on IAP, how IAP does it, and then there are various other crowdfunding platforms as well. It's just replacing the traditional communities or cooperative system and enabling investors or borrowers or donors from around the globe to come to one place and then transact here. InsurTech is replacing the traditional insurances, so we don't need to have agents. Rather, we can just go to the platform, apply for insurance, or even apply for claims. Everything happens within seconds. Then all those money transfer, investment services, cyber and data protection, big data and analytics. Last time decisions were made based on assumptions, based on economic theories, which are just theories, which are not practical. Those who are from the economic background, we always learn that people make decisions based on rationality, but it is never the reality. There are a lot of now people are studying economic behavior and all those things. So those things now we can justify and decide based on the data. So this is what big data and analytics is all about. Whatever we are sending messages through WhatsApp or checking a website in our mobile phone, next time we will see that the ad for that company is appearing in our Facebook, stories. So this is how, based on those data, it is showing us the targeted ads and targeted markets. Yeah, can we go to the next slide? So this is a Islamic fintech landscape prepared by Red Money. I think it's a bit old now, but it's still relevant to show the broader categories. You can see a lot of different categories have been populated by the Islamic fintech players. There are P2P finance, there are data analytics, there is insurance, blockchain, cryptocurrency. I guess there is. It's not. I mean, we don't have much time to go into the blockchain in a nutshell. It's a shared ledger. Last time we would record ourselves in one ledger, one book. So I am able to manipulate it. I am able to change any data here and there. But now with the blockchain technology, it's a shared between, let's say, two different authorities by the regulators and all those stakeholders. So it's not easy and even quite sometimes impossible to change the data or to manipulate the data from a central body. Can we go to the next? Yeah. So this is a Malaysian fintech map in 2018. You can see already a lot of fintech players. This is regardless of Islamic or conventional. So when it comes to finance, we just eliminate riba, like interest and gharar, uncertainty, and few other things, and everything becomes Islamic. So the horizon of Islamic is not, narrow. It's a huge area. We just need to eliminate few things that are not only problematic for Muslims but for the whole humanity. So other than that, everything is Islamic. So this is the fintech map for Malaysia. Yeah, it's like this. So this is the ecosystem. When we want to develop a fintech ecosystem, it's not one party, it's not only policy, it's not only talent. Rather, it has to come up with the whole ecosystem. There should be demand, there should be infrastructure, there should be capital inflows, and then when it matches between the policy and the talent, then we can see something fruitful. Yeah. So I'm just skipping through it. I think I will just skip this one as well. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Previous slide again. Sorry. So the summary is that the world today is global, it's digital, it's collaborative, right? And assets are open source. You can see, if you are a coder, you can see almost every code you can see open source is available open source. Whatever logic you want to apply, it's available open source. So the knowledge is now open source. Anyone can access. Skills are free to achieve. Last time you had to go to Harvard, need to go fly to Harvard, get a chance there, and then you only can get registered through a course. Now you can do all those courses in Coursera, edX, and all those MOOC platforms. Courses, I mean, we just need to have the will. Khalas, nothing else. Nothing else creates a barrier to learn something. So it's really, the opportunities are borderless and beyond imagination. If you have a will, then you can just make it go and run. Yeah. If you look at how the world is changing, sorry, the previous one, the sharing economy, you see the Airbnb is the largest accommodation provider. How many hotels do they have? Or how many buildings do they own? You see at Alibaba, the most valuable retailer, but how much inventory do they own? Facebook, the most popular content provider, but how much content they have produced themselves? We all are, me, you, and everyone here in this room, we are creating the content for Facebook. Uber, the largest taxi company, but how many cars does it own? So you can think of the next financial, this is a big thing in the financial sector as well. No asset, nothing, just it will become the largest financial service provider. So I will skip this slide. It was a bit more deep on the blockchain technology. Now, what are our opportunities? If you can see if you can understand from the previous slides or what I tried to brief up, the opportunities are endless. We could have an inclusive financial ecosystem for the whole Ummah. It's not for Malaysia only, it's not for Saudi Arabia only, for the whole Ummah we can think. Even beyond the Ummah we can take, actually we don't need to call it beyond the Ummah. When we say Ummah, it actually incorporates Muslims, non-Muslims, and everyone existing from the day Prophet ﷺ was given the prophecy, the Nubuwah. From the day he was given the Nubuwah, the Ummah is everyone. It's just someone has converted, someone hasn't yet. So we have to show them the beauty of Islam, the beauty of the guidance of Al-Quran, the beauty of the guidance of our Prophet ﷺ. That's it. But the Ummah is everyone now in the whole world. So of inclusive financial ecosystem for the whole Ummah is a bigger opportunity with the fintech today. And based on Islamic principles and Muslim lifestyles, we can come up with anything. And also driven by bank and fintech collaborations, now imaginations or opportunities are endless. Yeah. So we need to form communities powered by the people, and then we have to think about values. This is what matters. There will be a lot of players coming in and out the industry, no matter. If we are honest, if we have the value proposition and we have a long-term vision, then we have to go for it. Mobile first. So this is again talking about the millennials. As I mentioned last time, that a lot of studies shows that the millennials today, the people who are aged below 35, they love to do everything at their fingertips. So anything you have, you tell them that you have to go to there, just walk 200 meters, they don't want to do it. They maybe want to postpone it for the next day or maybe for, forever. So everything, anything, even I mean, if it was possible to eat through technology, I think that would be preferable as well. That I just click and I will be eating. Khalas, my stomach would be full. But this is not possible, unfortunately, yet. I don't know what would happen after 100 years. But yeah, this is the mindset of the new generation. So whatever solutions we think of, if we embed it with mobile first, then it's ready to hack. Yeah, the next slide. So imagine, I think it's the slide was prepared long ago. Yeah, the next slide again. Yeah, bank invests zakat, sadaqah, wakaf, everything on mobile. Now it's no more imagination; it's already reality. So we are doing banking on mobile. We are investing in mobile. So IAP will be coming in to discuss. At these ventures also we do investment through mobile, zakat, then sadaqah, then wakaf. Everything is now happening through mobile. So it's no longer an imagination. All right, I think my slide is almost at the end. So this slide was trying to say that, see, I mean, our opportunities are endless, and whatever we had in our imagination last time, everything could be turned into reality. We need to see dreams, we need to be ambitious, and then opportunities are endless. We can reach anyone from the other part of the world, from our locality and anywhere in the world, and have them help us. There is always communities, and we can build communities through a lot of open source platforms. For example, Facebook, WhatsApp, all those platforms enable us to build communities for our same mindset people. So the opportunities are endless, and with Fintech, we really can gear up the whole ummah. That was really a much needed for many 100 years. Last time when Muslims used to, rule the Spain, imagine what was the opportunity that time for the Muslims. The non-Muslims would come to Spain and learn for the knowledge. Now we are going there. So this world can be turned over again if we, the youth, gear up again with the new endless opportunities. With that, I finish my slides. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you, Brother Yusuf, for the enlightening talk. I think we have a problem with the projector. We have to wait a while before it starts again. Okay. I think now it is with pleasure that I would like to invite our CEO of IAP Integrated, Ms. Joanne Enriquez, to provide an overview on IAP.
Okay, just in time because I cannot do it without slides. So, Alhamdulillah. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh to everyone. Ramadan Kareem. We're on day 12. Yeah? Day 12. So, second part of Ramadan. So, Tech Mufti is a friend of mine. He wasn't introduced in the sense that he is a Islamic scholar and a tech scholar as well. So he has a master's in Islamic finance and working on his PhD. On top of this, he also is a mufti. That means like he's an expert in Sharia by itself. So he has two jobs together combined in one. He's also certified as a Sharia advisor in IOFI and also in SC now. Yes? SC. Now, almost. Very soon, inshallah. Okay, so I'm Joanne, and thank you for coming here and spending this time with us in our fourth Chat Chew for IAP. So I'll start off with a little clip on just to tell you how IAP works, okay? Before the projector gives up again. So please play the... So I couldn't have done that without the projector. So that explains what IAP is. But what it is it's actually an initiative by Bank Negara, right? So Bank Negara, during the time of the former governor Tan Sri Seti, Dr. Akhtar, basically put together an effort, an initiative to form this consortium of banks. So its objective is basically to create a platform where those that have excess cash and those that need cash can meet together. Now, what is the difference compared to any other matching platform or any other matching opportunities? Next slide, please. So these are the banks that own IAP. So the 6 banks up top basically put their capital together just a little bit to form a consortium that basically developed the actual platform, which is iaplatform.com, and that's through the investment account. Again, to be the avenue of choice for fundraising and investment. Okay, next slide, please. So before, why was it created, and what did Bank Negara have in mind? Before the creation of IFSA, which is a milestone and actually a landmark achievement for Malaysia. By the way, everyone is in the College of Economics, right? Yes. Okay, so this is a creation of by law. IFSA was created, and this is the only country. Malaysia is the only country, or if not the first, and hopefully the rest to follow, that actually legalized Islamic finance. So in that included investment account. So to differentiate what Islamic deposits are, before IFSA, our deposits were just you give the money to the bank, and then the bank uses it for whatever purpose. Either to do personal financing, mortgage, and whatnot. So they basically use your money to be able to circulate it, fractional reserves. So as you know, as economists. Now, to basically use the deposits in the Islamic sense, those that are in Islamic deposits, Bank Negara deemed it necessary to create an investment account where in actuality, the use of funds will be for Islamic purposes. Prior to IFSA, all of our deposits were in either Wadia, Murabaha, or card. Now with the investment account, the depositor is actually an investor into whatever project. So instead of the bank earning the profit, it is shared with the people. The bank is used for whatever they're good at, but generally, the investor now takes the risk together with, as a group, into the projects. So investment account is into 2 kinds, okay? So the specified basically mirrors what the function of the old deposits are. So the bank uses your money for whatever needs they have in the bank. But more importantly, I think this is where the opportunity is the specified or the restricted account where the actual investor can tell the bank where they want to put their money. So it can say, I want to go to women entrepreneurs, I want it to go to the service sector. So you get to choose where your money goes. And I believe it is very true to the way Islam propagates how our barakah is supposed to be spent, you know. You have to be partaking in the decision making of what your money is used for. So I think it is, in essence, a real practice of Islamic finance. Next slide, please. So this is pre-IFSA. The depositor would deposit money to the banks, and then a financing contract is done. So the 2 arrows are actually contracts. It's very important to see this triangle because it will evolve. This is the first slide that you're going to see this triangle. There's still 2 contracts that is coming, pre-IFSA. Okay, so this is pre-IFSA. There's still 2 contracts that are happening within the banking system. The deposit, which is basically with the one that owns the money, and then the financing contract that is actually the one that's being financed. So we call this venture or project. I get confused with what venture is, but it's actually the project that needs the money, okay? So this is the old way. This is pre-IFSA. So now we go to the next slide. This is post-IFSA, that is after IFSA, where now we can intermediate in between the 2 contracts. The 2 contracts still exist, but now investment account comes there. We are able to intermediate and have the ventures and the crowd, which is the investors like you, meet in the platform. So the whole process still is the same. The banks will still do their due diligence, and it's very important to understand this. The bank will still do their due diligence, meaning they will underwrite the project. So nothing changes. Everything is still the same, except now IAP is there, where we add where the venture and the crowd can meet. Later, you will see an enhanced model where you should be able to see the triangle again. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so what we are trying to create is basically this. Just remember what Brother Yusuf explained. It's basically, let's start with that financial technology portion, which is on that side of the pie. Basically, that is what he was explaining. We want to leverage off of this development in the ecosystem where financial technologies are used. We are using the expertise of the bank, which is they're very good at. That's why we have a lot of banks that have a lot of employees that are very, very successful. Rewind, please. No problem. Arrow. Okay, that's fine. And then that's the banking expertise. And the third portion is the crowdfunding portion, which has been allotted IAP because of the law. So these three put together, we feel is a good summation of what Islamic finance is. So this wheel can rotate and rotate and rotate. So in the squares that are beside each other is a little explanation of those little pieces. But important in the crowdfunding portion is the total crowdfunding in the world in 2018 is about 7 billion USD. That's the magnitude of the money that's going around crowdfunding. So it's not a fluke, it's not a fad. It's almost becoming a way of life, you see, in the financial space. So in Malaysia, we have two types of crowdfunding, which is the equity crowdfunding and the peer-to-peer crowdfunding. More or less in total, this is what they've done in USD. So just to give you a general idea of how far behind we are in terms of opportunities and in terms of capitalizing on this phenomenon that is happening in the world. Okay, so with this in the yellow portion, with this together, we feel that we can have new economic models that we can do. We feel that it allows for real risk sharing, which is what Islamic finance is, as opposed to risk transfer, where they're taking your money and then transferring the risk to another. And this is an opportunity for private and public partnership. And because this is a first in the world, this initiative is a first in the world, Malaysia will remain to be as a center of Islamic finance, showing the world on how and what to do in terms of Islamic finance. Okay, next slide, please. So this is what IAP has done in total. We've raised around 200 million. So as a singular unit, it's quite substantial compared to the 12 other companies that have done crowdfunding in Malaysia. So this is around 200 million. There's missing one more project. But we've done around 200 million across 12 projects that we've done. We just closed one recently, so I think this is only up to 11. But this is all of the returns that we have given. All are current and have been paid. It's this is what I was trying to avoid. It's across all channels basically. So we have SMEs, we have manufacturing, we have services, and we need the slides. So I will give it 10 seconds. I think when it heats up, it shuts down. It's an automatic thing. So we just wait 5 seconds. So basically, that's what it has done. So since its inception in 2015, the banks would list in the platform and the crowd will fund, as you've seen in the earlier portion. So just to reiterate that while we're waiting for the next slide. So if I'm a venture, I would apply in the platform for money. I need my money for an idea that I need to do. The banks will look at it. It goes to all of the sponsoring banks that we have. Right now, we have 6. We have 6. So it's basically everyone in the list plus RHB, right? So, and we have more coming up, and they're coming up with newer ideas. It's not just typical one type of contract. We are now seeing hybrids, new hybrids of products because they want to be creative. Even now, we've talked to another bank who is looking at measuring success based on social impact. So they are becoming more creative in terms of the product offerings that they want, that seed was planted in 2015. And it took
it will mature to now. It's still in its earlier inception stages, but we are seeing now that even our non-member banks are looking to create a product that will be able to be innovative, and that's the new economic models that we are seeing. So this is our returns, much higher than your typical 3% in the savings account, as I've shown you earlier in that model. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is our most recent project. It was oversubscribed by 127% in the first 29 minutes. This is by Bank Mamalat. And so if we see this happening, then Alhamdulillah, I think we'll be able to mobilize more funds. So the mechanism is working, but I will show you a problem later on why we have to tweak the whole process just a tad bit, okay? Is the next slide the new model? No, not yet. Okay, so this is the problem. Okay, the problem is this. Okay, so 98.5% of the businesses in Malaysia are small to medium scale in terms of size, right? And 66% of the total Malaysian workforce is employed in this category. And 31% of the total GDP of Malaysia comes out of this sector as well. However, in the yellow in the bottom, only 27% have access to banking facility. Only 27%. So that's sort of a big problem, right? As economists, you will see already a very red flag that this is not sustainable. Eventually, if they cannot do that, then who is your consumption? What crowd, who will buy the products? Apart from not having work, you won't have a population that will be able to buy, even from the large-scale entrepreneurs. So there is a funding gap that needs to be addressed. And the problem is coming from the fact of that triangle that I've shown you earlier also. And we are sort of trying to solve that problem with our new initiatives, and I'll show you how. Go ahead, please. So that's the triangle that you are seeing, right, in the earlier stages. It's the same triangle that you've seen in 3 slides now. The problem is created because the banks use their due diligence criteria exactly as they would. You have to understand that they are handling public money. They cannot risk high risk projects. So they are stuck with just giving it to those that are almost sure to be able to repay. But that's not going to work because a certain portion, as you can see, 73% are still not bankable of the backbone of your economy. Where will they get their money? So they're now borrowing from maybe relatives, from they call it agongs or along. No, sorry. Wrong word. It's the alongs. So they're borrowing from the alongs. And yeah, so that's quite a problem. And so we have thought of a way to tweak a model that works to be able to facilitate those that are not bankable by having the government step in to help mitigate the risk. So we are looking now to start up a fund, not necessarily just MOF, but any other institution that will be able to provide seed money. This will be used as a risk mitigation fund, to have a risk mitigation strategy to allow the 73% of the unbanked to basically try their bet at the ecosystem of this triangle that we have already said. If that does not exist, they will remain to be unbankable. And the problem of not being able to fund the backbone of your economy will plague us eventually. That's not something that we want to do. Your purchasing power will decline, and the government concession, which is also at the limit. I mean, many times now you've heard the government saying we don't have enough money to dole out, right? So what we are trying to do, therefore, is to encourage the crowd's money to be able to be pumped in, to magnify the monies that are available in the banking system by having someone else as an external party. In this instance, the example is MOF. However, again, that can be any entity to be able to mitigate risk. Options are they are going to be an investor, an initial investor, or a Tabaru fund can be put together in case of NPL or non-performing assets. Again, this is the only way to be able to maintain and sustain that triangle, which is now a proven model, to be able to cater to the people that needs the financing. Okay, so I think that's that for this slide. Let's see the next one. Okay, so just in summary, right now we've done 200 million in 12 projects. There's about 245 more or less high net worth individual investors, and in corporates, 23 corporates that are circulating the funds within the IAP. Still very small, but has a lot of potential. But again, relative to the crowdfunding size, it's quite substantial in the Malaysian landscape. Right now, also, we have several talks with various sovereigns who want to copy the model and hope to implement it in their countries. Also, there are more banks in Malaysia that are now interested to join the first 6 that initiated it. Okay, I think next slide. So how do you support? So first of all, you can go ahead and spread the news about this. I encourage everyone to look into the Islamic financial technology space as students. This is somewhere where you might want to veer towards in terms of career. Economics is a start of many other things that can spring out of. You can apply whatever you learn in economics in any industry. The Islamic financial technology space is an industry that is growing, and I think, as Brother Yusuf has explained, it may solve many of our problems in Ummah if we use it right. And so consider looking at this space as Malaysians. It's easy, you don't have to walk. How many meters did you say 200 meters is the limit for the young ones, for the 35 and under? I'm not in the 35 and under. Brother Yusuf, I think still is, or probably almost in the boundary. So we can walk more than 200 meters. So for those that how to support, please do this, spread the word. And I think that's it. So we're gonna open for Q&A because I don't want to hold you from your iftars. We can answer questions for Brother Yusuf, or any question related to career, related to Islamic Fintech, related to Sharia. Tech Mufti will be able to answer those questions for you if you have any. Okay? You have to ask. This is our 3rd school. The first school was the most terrorizing because that's where I came from. So you have to ask questions a bit. None? Any questions? Don't be shy. You don't have to use the mic. Huh? Any questions?
Is there any criteria that need to be meet in order to be an investor?
Good question, very good question. So criteria in terms of investors. So I missed that part. Because of this question, I'm going to be able to explain. Thank you. So the investment account requires a, how do you call that technical word? Suitability assessment. They use abbreviations on me. They say SA, and then I forget the meaning. So it's called suitability assessment. It's SA that everyone must take. Okay. So specific to this, I think it was Bank Nigar required, because we want to ensure that the investor is savvy enough to be able to know the risk they are taking. Because as you know, unlike a deposit, the bank makes the decision for you, right? So in this instance, you have to decide. So we have to make sure that the one putting in the money is aware of the risk that they are taking. So a series of questions is going to be asked in the platform. You don't have to invest immediately. You're going to want to try and see what that is. But because this is a proprietary screen, in some countries, you have to be earning a certain level of income before you can participate in this. For us, no. It's just we basically assess your risk profile to ensure that it matches the project's risk profile. So then you have to answer that. Our projects vary across industries, and the minimum requirement also varies. The lowest that we have done now is the one with AFIN, which is 5,000 ringgit. Okay, the highest that we've done now is 100,000, which is with Maybank. So it varies. It depends on the listing. We eventually want to be able to put in sufficient projects that will basically answer to everyone. Right now, there's a lack of projects, primarily because of what I explained, right? So the ventures that apply, most of them get rejected because we are relying on the bank's due diligence. So with that being tweaked, we hope to have more ventures that we can match up to various investor profiles. So people who can probably invest lower than 5,000 can do so. For now, our lowest that we've done is 5,000. Does that answer your question? Okay, thank you. Thank you for asking because I forgot that portion of the suitability assessment. Okay, next. Who else? Yes, sir. Walaikum salam. Yes. Yes. Mashallah, okay. Okay, good. Good.
So my question is, how investment compare for as a mufti to create what's the method to create the awareness among young among the students about the investment. Actually, for my perception and my views that most of our students, our citizens in Asia, not have some interested into the investment.
Okay.
What's the methodology? Yeah, some campaign or.
Yes, yes. So is it investment account specific or investment as a whole? Just to invest as a whole? Yeah, in general. Okay. So you comment and then I will.
Just today, I was in an event by SC, and the finance minister was commenting that in Malaysia, the financial literacy is just around, he was mentioning around 36%. So you can understand how much investment awareness is there. So, but we can take it positively as well. Maybe it's not that people do not know how to invest, rather maybe there are not much available options so far. So now with IAP and other new market players and Fintech, the investment arena is much more inclusive. You can even start investing with 10 ringgit, right? Many platforms now they provide that. I'm not sure about IAP what is the minimum, but yeah, you can start. So financial literacy is a very important thing for, especially for Malaysians. I think that's the basic fundamental to move forward for any type of investment. And for this literacy, in my personal experience, I think we need to somehow start at some point, even it is with a very small amount, which we can afford. So once we start with a small amount, we will be learning through the path. I mean, it's not that we learn the whole thing at once and then we invest and we will be 100% successful. Even we finish learning everything in our perspective, if learning has no end, and then we invest, still there will be losses, still there will be trial and error. So the sooner we start, the sooner we will be more matured and we will be able to make more mature investment decisions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just to add to that, I think it has to be a comprehensive strategy as a nation. And I'm gonna say this because I don't know who the next minister will be, or the next prime minister, or the next member of parliament will be in this room or whatnot. We need to start on all sides. My children are here, 1, 2, and 3 up there. The children of my staff are all here. That's the first level. We have to teach the children on what Islamic finance is. And the crux of Islamic finance is really investment. It's not tossing your money somewhere and just waiting for it to grow. You have to be engaged and involved in the money that was given to you, and to ensure that that is utilized for whatever purpose it has to serve. So that starts with the home. I think that as future parents, you really have to have a basic knowledge of Islamic finance, which is very simple. Very simple. People think it's so complex. I took 2 years to understand very simple tenets. No need. It's just about fairness and justice in essence. And that all contracts are obeyed, so that all the parties are given what is due. And the responsibilities are carried by the ones that have the responsibilities. That's the basic crux of things. So starting with the family, then with the schools. In the public school system, this has to be put in. It has to be put in because you cannot learn the value for money when you're already 18 or 20, right? We have to practice this as growing children. For the parents who taught their kids to do, alhamdulillah. But what can you teach if you don't know, right, as a parent? So educate yourself as future parents to be able to teach this to your kids. If you are in office or in schools, ensure that this is part of the curriculum. And then on a step forward, when you are in the professional space, make sure that your contribution to Islamic finance, for those that will take it, really contributes to the essence of Islamic finance, not what the people are wanting to make it look like, okay? So those are the three things. As for IAP, we are trying very hard to bring this to the grassroots. Eventually, when the projects are substantial, we can easily build a awareness campaign that can reach across the country. That's not a problem. That's just advertising and everything else. Right now, we have rebuilt it where it can function the way it should, inshallah. We're looking for the backing in the national space to be able to support us, to be able to push this in the kampungs and wherever there may be. If you want to do it in Facebook, if you want to do it in an app, it's so easy. Most of all, this is an alternative that we are given because, you know, in Malaysia, there's a lot of trickery. You know, this pyramid schemes and this cheating that has happened. I have a lot of at least one or two relatives of my immediate circle, from the one that I work with here to the one that I work with there to the one that services in the house, all have been tricked in some kind of scheme, cheating scheme. This springs from ignorance, thinking that money is easy to earn. I don't think so. It has to be, you have to earn it, you have to work hard for it, and that's the values that we will have to begin with from the family, the school, and the workplaces. Okay? So then I think that's where we should end because it's almost time. So that is my urge to everyone, inshallah. Try to contribute in your homes, in your schools, and in the workplace to be able to forward the real Islamic finance that has made civilizations behind us really excel. Islamic civilizations that have survived. Brother Yusuf had examples of Spain. Very recently, the decline of the Ottoman Empire. Turkey had everything. Many of the things that we are doing now sprung from Turkey. We have forgotten that because the riba system has taken over the convenience and everything else. So let's urge ourselves in our own little way to see how our civilizations behind us survived and thrived. Pick the good, don't do the bad, improve further and adjust it to the ecosystem that you are in. Okay? Assalamu alaikum. Thank you all for being here. Iftar is served on the other side. Sarizan will... Oh, okay. All right. So, sorry, thank you. So this one has to picture opportunity, part of marketing. So, this is part of the campaign. Alright, so this is an IAP pin, mine is in my bag, that we give to my board. The board wears it and to everyone who's contributed to IAP. So we're giving one to Brother Yusuf for taking time out to be part of this discussion and adding to our knowledge. Thank you so much, Brother Yusuf, and bringing his family with us. Thank you. Oh, you can pin it. Okay, he can pin it. Okay, thank you. Alright, so let's have Juma there. The ladies will go first, please, and not Juma, but Iftar. Take it there, and thank you again, and see you again soon. Thank you.